Leveling up can be hard in Elden Ring. How do you pick which stat to invest in? Well, what if you didn't have to choose? On this run through Elden Ring, I decided I wouldn't level my stats up until they could all be leveled up. No physic flasks or talismans can raise one stat above another. They've all got to be equal. That should make me a jack of all trades and a master. I think that's the end of the expression. If you want to watch these runs live, follow me on Twitch. We find new ways to play Elden Ring all the time. Join my Patreon to support the channel and to seize the runes of the lands between. Let's get started.
United we stand, divided we fall.
We start off in character creation making a little Marks. He's all about making sure everything is even. Oh, and we're starting off as a wretch for an even 10 in every stat. Into Limgrave, we get a crafting kit from the merchant. We can participate in capitalism. This isn't actually testing socialism's merits. I've read theory, and at no point do they mention trees that throw their own poop at you. Let's get a horsey and ride it to Comrade Alexander to free him from his hole. Since we're naked, the High Road Cave is a great place to start. We can grab our first sickle, the Sham Wow. You'll say wow every time you say it. The ideal sickle requires 19 dexterity. That means we can't get it until we're level 8 times 9, which is 73, since we start at level 1. So that's a ways away. We need something in the meantime. ShamWow. Remember when I said in the Vigor build that you shouldn't use the Barbaric Roar against the Golem? This is why. It just takes 2 hits, then we can open up the chest. You can even get 2 hits in before he stands up, so it's 100% free. That gives us the Blue Dancer Charm for a huge damage boost before we have clothing. For our first few levels, we'll do some gray old cheesing. We blue skidoo behind the Third Church of America and do a bit of grave robbing, then trick a Knight's Cavalry off the bridge. Remember kids, all cavalry are bastards. Now, imagine Workers' Liberation in Fortnite. There we can fight the Fort Knight and get a number 1 Victory Royale for the Bloody / Ash of War. Bleed is such a good status effect. See? Nerd Juice uses it against us. Twice. When you're naked, your robustness is super low and you're very weak to being stabbed. Third try against Nerd Juice though, we get it. Just had to wait for Comrade Yura to come help us out. It's technically a tie though, since we also died. Didn't die against Patches. I can't stand for someone who would exploit someone under capitalism. We'll take his pickles and head out. After one of the big lazy dragon babies killed me in the Vigor run, I'm smart enough to slash its toes with the camera pointed behind me. That's enough runes to get us to level 15, which is actually level 41. Since we're nearby, let's go into Fort Pharaoh for the Dectus Medallion and die twice to the rats while grabbing Radigan's Sword Seal, which we can't use. Why did I do that? Real goofball hours here. There's a ton of workers in the Weeping Peninsula who need our liberation, and there's ways we can upgrade our juice, Golden Seed, and 3 Sacred Tears. But don't let that delicious flavor distract you from the cause. Into the Impaler's Catacombs, the powers that be clearly don't like my revolution since my building lost power. We're back, and didn't have a screen for a little bit, but that's fine. Finally figured out where to go, pull the lever, and can fight the Erdtree Burial Watchdog. Normally people call boss fights with minions a gank, but let's be honest, he's just showing us the power of a union. We can't get around all the gargoyles and deal with the Burial Watchdog at the same time, so let's form our own little union by talking to Ronnie and getting some dogs. If you own a bunch of pets, congrats, they're in a union and they have great benefits, until the dogs die. But they provided a good distraction so we can get the gargoyles down and clear out the watchdog to unlock the Demi-human ashes. They're an oppressed group in the lands between, and together, there's nothing we can't accomplish. Let's go liberate Limgrave.
I'm headed straight for the castle.
Part of liberating Limgrave is of course going to be the abandoned cave in Caelid. Obviously their workers are stronger than the Cleanrot Knights, but I'm not. Normally I come here after the requisite 40 vigor and can just sort of heal off if I mistime a dodge. Today, not an option. I have less than half that HP, so stray Destructo discs are a huge problem, and we died 4 times before getting in and clearing out the Spear Knight. Our workers are dead, but we can avenge them against the Sickle Knight for the Golden Scarab Talisman, which will boost our runes by 20%. We have to get this early since leveling it up is going to take forever. Margit is gatekeeping the King of Limgrave. Imagine gatekeeping for a monarchist. How embarrassing. Almost as embarrassing as dying to Margit 3 times. Again, I'm just kind of used to having a comfortable amount of vigor or a leveled up weapon. We could technically have upgraded our weapon, but this isn't the final sickle I want, so I don't want to waste runes on it. Runes are expensive. Eventually we get our workers through and bleed and crit him enough to wear him down. Gostok is also defending Godric in the replies. Oh my god, he's not gonna notice you. We're still going through the safe path, though I got a little lost. We somehow ended up on this really narrow ledge with a Wind Knight and barely make it out alive. We're here for the hammer. Hammer and sickle is a great combination. Maybe not an Elden Ring though. Also, we won't have enough strength to carry it until we're level 21, which is actually level 89. Let's go get paid, I guess. Remember when I said we were never going to use Flame of the Redmanes again? That was a lie. I could never stay mad at you, baby. I'm so sorry. Despite its stance damage getting nerfed into the goddamn ground, it's still an easy way to put fire damage on a weapon. If you have a weapon with fire damage, the first putrid avatar in Caelid is easy. You can chop down that tree and get the flame-shrouded Cracketeer, which raises your fire damage even higher. Eventually we're going to take that to the putrid avatar in Grail, but first I want to level up the sword, even though I said I wasn't going to do that. On the way I grabbed a grape out of this hole, but I left 2 fingers inside. If we took 2 fingers out of the hole, we'd be raising our faith higher. Feels a little weird to leave them in the hole at first, but after getting used to it, it's not that bad, kind of fun. Let's go into another hole, the Raya Lucaria Crystal Tunnel, where we kind of just let our workers pummel the Crystallian with the power of organized labor. Now we can level up our sword to +6, 12 with the smithing stones we picked up on the way down, and fight the second putrid avatar. Big runes! Now we're level 16, or 49, depending on how you want to count it. Finally, we approach the false king of Limgrave, Godric the Garfield. Dude takes exploitation of labor to the next level. Not only does he take credit for his workers, he literally takes their limbs and glues them to himself. Classic micromanager. We get our workers in, and Nefeli, who wants to be a union rep in Limgrave. She'll do great. Bleed makes it go fast enough, you don't even need to be afraid of his dragon arm. Just run in and get your free hits in during the slow, silly attack. Godric dead. Now we can level up the workers a bit and never die again. Except for when we died in Stormvale. But that's on the way to activate Godric's Great Rune, which is going to raise all of our stats by 5. Since it happens at the same time, it's allowed. Basically 40 extra levels. It's revolutionary. Let's take the revolution to the masses. First, let's go into Aldous and get the Bell-Bearing 2 to level up our weapons. Then we'll take out the Demi-human Queen Kilka with the Demi-humans. No kings or queens, after all. That gives us the Ritual Sword Talisman for 10% more damage at full health. We'll be at full health almost always, since we're gonna start getting one-shot pretty soon here. There's some decent armor nearby, the Raptor's Feathers, which will give us a boost to our jump attacks, as well as covering our little socialist buns. Necromancer Garrus is doing some calibrations. Then we calibrate him to death so we can warp out and meet up with some comrades at Jaren's party. Everyone is here to bully Radahn, and bully him we do. Since we have the bleed on our weapon, and Okina does too, we can beat him down to like 10% of his HP before he hops up. One of these days, we're gonna kill him before phase 2. It's the coolest when that happens. His armor's also pretty cool, but it's pretty expensive. Thankfully, we get some easy runes by beating down Exicus. Then we'll scoop up the Radahn set, which is nice and heavy for our relatively high endurance. I mean, it's not high compared to some of our builds, but it's the closest to where I'd actually like our stat to be. Back to Altus to upgrade the workers. First up is the Windham Catacombs, where we get gooped right when we're trying to heal. It's annoying, but I support goop and slime in all games and pieces of media. The boss is the Erdtree Burial Watchdog.
Didn't I kill you already?
This one has lightning and no gargoyles, so it's easier. I know I died, but this time I only died once. So it's easier. Up Gelmnir and into the hero's grave, where we can ignore a chariot on the way down and die to it on the way back up. There's too many runes to just throw away, so we'll risk the chariot again. This time we make it out. I scoop up the Somber Sound 6 while we're on the mountain, then start farming runes again. Back to Grail, this is where we get our easy grind on, though it's not easy if you don't have 40 vigor, because yeah, the Beastmen of Farum Azula, that's a one-shot. Grail, that's a one-shot. These are scaled for endgame, so it makes sense, but it's still suffering. Each one only killed us once this time though, so we can get enough runes for show and tell. That's the Shotel we buy in the Saoirse Ronan Riverwell. On the way to the Draconic Tree Sentinel, we find another guy selling rune arcs, pretty important since we're gonna need those. Every time we die, we have to pop a new one. Ideally, we won't die, but second most ideally, we'll at least die at the exact same time we kill a boss, like the Draconic Tree Sentinel. Although, doing it this way means we can't pickle and lose out on a bunch of runes. Shoot, this is also generally where the no fun zone starts, and everything starts one-shotting you if you have less than 40 vigor. Hopefully, that's not a bad omen for things to come.
Very superstitious.
If we're gonna have a shitty time, I want to do that literally. First, let's grab the Seedbed Curse, then chop down an Erdtree and get the Ritual Shield Talisman. It's kind of the only way we can take more than one hit since it drastically raises our defense at full health. Then into the sewer. It's full of poops and peas, and a dude who eats poops and peas. I forgot to talk to him at the Round Table Hold, but that's fine. We can just open the shortcut first. And we even made it around the Omen, which means that this should have actually been called 3 bad omens, but the first omen wasn't bad, so yeah, 2 bad omens. Whatever, it's okay. Talk to the poop man in the Round Table Hold, then we can let him out of the sewer. I don't believe in mass incarceration. Let me just Google what this guy did really quick and oh, maybe we should have left him in there. The first major omen we have to deal with is Moog. He hits really hard, and the sewer version can't be afflicted with status effects, so we just kind of have to get good, or get the Dung Eater to help. But after 3 tries, it's just not working. His swings are super wide and hit almost all of our worker friends. He's really redistributing the pain. I have an idea though. We have enough intelligence for the Meteorite Staff and the Rock Sling spell from Caelid. We come back and start spamming rocks. Until we run out of blue juice, probably should have thought of that, but we can finish it off fighting him in a way that's somewhat more honorable. I can't go further down in the sewer until we beat Morgoth, so let's just head that way. Godfrey's Shade is waiting out front, and we take 2 L's because I got greedy. You really can't get greedy when you're trying to play a socialist, you know? With him dead, we head upstairs, and I'm feeling confident until the Black Knife Assassin gets our goat. Why didn't I just run past her? Why would I risk a rune arc fighting her? Both are good questions. We're at the point where we can cast the Golden Vow spell, kind of. After our rune arc, we have enough faith. The spell is better than the Ash of War, and we just have to beat Anastia to get it. I said Anastasia and Anastasia, and people said I was wrong for both, so now it's Anastia. I hope you're all happy. It's a pain to fight her, since the dog won't let us do it in peace, but we managed to squeak it out without dying. The Golden Vow spell boosts our damage and the boys' damage, and Melena's damage by 15% and gives them 10% more damage resistance. So that's going to be really helpful against Morgoth the Omen King, right? Well, maybe. Maybe we would have died more than 11 times if we didn't have it. Actually, we stopped using it since every time we want to use it, we have to use a rune arc, and those are limited. Eventually, I switch it up and spam rocks from the back since we're kind of frail and weak individually. The problem is spellcasting in late game doesn't work that great. Early game, the bosses are slow enough that you can back out, cast a spell, and then wait for your Spirit Ash to take the aggro or move out to cast again. Mid to late game, they'll just carve through your Spirit Ashes too fast, and honestly, sometimes that doesn't even matter. They'll just switch their aggro to you really fast. Morgoth also has combos, so that Ritual Shield Talisman, pretty much useless. Woohoo, I love doing endgame with low vigor. Eventually we squeak it out, but it was rough. After 2 terrible omens, things are sure to go great. And for a bit, they do. We get through the Forbidden Lands without issue and make our way to the mountaintops of the Giants. There's a Dung Beetle with a Somber Stone 7 that is a huge pain to get since there were 2 knife birds on my ass, and it was running towards a Hero of Zamor, but we didn't die. We decide not to ignore Realis Borealis, instead hitting him with the Meteoralis. We ran out of magic, then we can only move in when it's safe. It becomes a bit of a Chorealis when he won't stop going for the Rorealis, but we can still score Realis the win without dying. Yep, 2 bad omens, and now everything's fine. Let's go get the Frenzied Flame Seal. It's in the pit. Which I was pretty confident I knew how to fall down properly. I didn't know how to fall down properly, and that confidence led me to keep backstepping for every grave, when some of them you're supposed to roll off of. We died 10 times. Then I realized you can quit out before you hit the ground and you don't technically die, and will respawn where you tried to jump. Died 1 more time anyway. So 11 deaths to funny gravity, which I will not take off the death total. This build doesn't get special treatment like Elon, because I'm not worried about socialists getting mad if it does poorly. They're tougher than capitalists. All that snowflake stuff is just projection, and if you're mad about it, you're kind of proving my point. For the Frenzied Flame, we need grapes. We can get one by liberating the Misbegotten of Morn Castle by killing Edgar. While here, let's also beat the Leonine Misbegotten. We've had 1 revolution, yes, but what about a 2nd revolution? Then talk to Irina. Oh no, she died! Friendship ended with Irina. Hyetta is my best friend now. She gets pretty grossed out when she finds out she's eating eyes, and 5 seconds later asks for eyes from a specific dude. That dude is Vike. He's Viking about near Sauron, which means we get frenzied a bunch, but it's not a big deal. We still get the win and deliver the grape. Hyetta is now at the bottom of the pit, which means that we can get naked and fingered in a hole, then come out and burn her to death for the Frenzied Flame Seal. It scales with 4 different stats. Since ours are equal, it should be pretty great. It's also dirt cheap to level up, so we beat a Tibia Mariner to death for the runes. Hopefully, it'll keep us warm in the winter.
'Cause you're hot and you're cold, you're yes, then you're no, you're in and you're out.
There's another castle that needs liberating, so me and the workers will come together penetrating the castle's hole. Although, there's a few knights who penetrate me on the way in, with swords. At least we got that shortcut while dying the 2nd time. Niall is tricky. He's got some pretty loyal knights and they hit pretty hard. He's also making big AoEs, and each individual worker doesn't have that much health. Third try, we're able to keep our distance and find the rhythm. It's like Hi-Fi Rush. Maybe, I don't know, that game just kind of exploded into existence. I still don't really know what it is. Anyway, find the rhythm, throw the rocks, beat the Nile. With the path cleared to the Halig Tree, we smash down the Putrid Avatar since it's worth like just so many freaking runes. It's also harder than the Erd Tree Avatar in the Mountaintops of the Giants, which should give us enough runes to level up again. Another way to level up? Leveling up our seal all the way. We needed a Somber Stone 5 from the Altus Tunnel. Might as well take a whack at the Crystallian Duo while we're here. There's a Somber Stone 9 in the Dragon Barrow, and we can fight Anastia again for the 10.
Didn't I kill you already?
2 more bosses should get us some more actual levels, like the Fire Giant, which drops a considerable amount of runes relative to his considerable size. Slash the ankles for phase 1, then use the meteors to hit him right in his tummy face. Once he falls over, ride in and slash his face up without the crit, because the crit doesn't deal any damage to this guy for some reason, and just build up the bleed. It goes really smoothly. The second time, first time we got smashed. Against the Magma Worm, we unionize the octopi and throw rocks from a distance. Let's go suffer. The Penguin Noble is just like Nerd Juice from early in the game. The only difference is we don't get any help, and he's scaled for endgame now, which means he hits really hard, really fast, and we have to hit him about 20 times if we want to kill him. This is gonna go poorly. I decided, hey, let's make it go more poorly and spend rune arcs. That way we can activate the Grafted Greatsword boost and get plus 10 to every stat instead of just plus 5. It's honestly still not that great. Carrying the extra sword puts us in heavy load once the boost ends, and we can't kill him before the boost ends, and we're still only at 33 vigor. If it ain't a 40, you don't get to make mistakes. We have to hit him 20 times without making a mistake. So, Detour, let's get the Lion's Claw Ash of War. I've used it against Gideon to make pancakes in the past. Surely it's good for PvP in general. It works against Gideon though because Gideon's a silly goose who doesn't attack you right away. The Penguin Noble attacks you right away. It works better, but we still died 1 more time for 7 total deaths. I hate NPC fights, y'all. One day I might learn how to handle them, but for now, PvE is just so much more fun than PvP. Let's go get some Moog money. We warp to Mogwin Palace, then fight Eleonora back in Altus. She gives us a preview of an endgame area we're about to explore. Whiff City. The brick hammer is bad, like deceptively so. I have no idea why it's so stumpy, but it whiffs more than shorter weapons. I mentioned this in the Thor run too. The last time we used this hammer, it seems like it's smaller than the Cestus. In Mogwin Palace, we got killed by Sans the Funny Skeleton, then died twice while trying to buy rune arcs. We got out, but don't worry, because Moog is about to mess our shit up. Sans, the Endurance run, and Poison Ivy. They all did fine against Moog. Easy first try win. But Thor, a pretty good run, suffered. Trevor, pretty good run, suffered. What carries something through this fight? I have no idea. 6 deaths just pop, one after another. We have bleed on the Shotel, but that's not good enough for phase 2, mostly because he just doesn't sit still long enough for us to bleed him. The Splatoon juice on the floor also breaks our ritual shield talisman, which means that we're gonna get one shot if our socks are wet. 6 deaths before the end of the first stream. I didn't do this intentionally, but that is total death 69. Nice. After a night of rest, I cracked the code. I just need Rotten Breath. Hit the devil with some bad breath and Scarlet Rot will take him down. It almost killed Radon at full power. Surely it's gonna work on this creep, right? Not exactly. We died 6 more times, but that's fine. We just need something to spam while we run away. Sure, we can't get Comet Azure like we did on the Sans run. We're like 50 intelligence too low for that. But we can shoot ropes. To shoot ropes, we have to do a bit of the Millicent quest. Die to O'Neill. Oh god, that's bad. Beat O'Neill.
Didn't I kill you already?
Talk to Gowry, run through the town of Horsery, cure Millicent, get an arm from the Shaded Castle, kill the zombie so I can warp out, give Millicent a hand, and learn how to shoot ropes from an old man in a shack. It took off all my clothes to get a power boost from the Blue Dancer Charm. With our solid seal for mixed stats, it should be enough to Nope, that sucks. Okay. Fine, let's go get another status effect, Frostbite. That'll do a big chunk of damage and make him take more damage from our workers. And the Rot Breath will do more damage after we do that. And it still kind of sucks. Yeah, overall we died 18 times to Moog and probably didn't need to. At this point, he's only giving us 1 more level. I'm just so desperate to improve at this point, and the bosses aren't letting it happen. Can you imagine wanting to advance in your life, but a boss stops you because they don't want you to have more money? I would hate that system so much. I'd want to change that system. And there's only one way to change that system. Before trying to do Faram Azula, I wasted time by doing the Gold Mask quest for the Golden Disc spell. I thought I could use it to kill some Deathrite birds and get 1 more level, but it didn't go well. And I didn't want to sunk cost myself into 18 more deaths. I'm actually kind of proud that I gave up after 2. To Faram Azula and then the Godskin duo. They're so fun. Rod is generally pretty good on them, but it's been nerfed since like 5 patches ago. The damage is still fine, it just doesn't proc. So you're probably gonna get hit while you're applying it, and we can't take hits. One of the times, I forgot to summon Bernie. That time really sucked. Eventually, we're able to get it working, and Bernie helps us slam for the win. Obviously, this build's gonna get along well with Bernie. Maybe we just need stronger workers. The last grave gloveworts we need are in the giant conquering hero's grave, but I haven't done this in one of our low vigor runs. Turns out this little pocket with the fire monk is a huge pain in the ass if you can't trade hits. Ironically, the socialist build can't trade. We lost all our runes, so never mind, let's go do the bird run. It goes fine. Then the draconic tree sentinel, which goes worse. After 2 deaths, I decided to rot it, run away, and wait for the rot to do its thing, then finish it off. Really hate this dude without health or allies. Take those runes back to the hero's grave and we make it out alive and max out the workers. It's been too long since we suffered. Almost an entire paragraph of this script. Malekith time, and this is rough. While he's susceptible to rot, bleed, etc., his status effects reset halfway through the fight, so it's not really worth the slow casting time of the spell. As for bleed, that's fine, but it doesn't deal stance damage, which we need to make him stop moving. The safest way to beat Malekith is just to make sure he can't move. But the hammer is so damn short. We can't get these hits off while we are inside the Catboy. Ugh. The combos break our shield talisman, and he's fast enough that we can't hit him with the spells, so nothing we have is good at this. I'm actually pretty proud that we died less than 10 times. Gideon goes fine, we pancake him for a bit, but even after he gets out, our workers keep the pressure up, so we can find openings to get some hits. Shiburi wants to help us with Godfrey, but that's a bad idea. It gives Godfrey too much extra HP, and our demon friend dies before phase 2 even starts. So instead, it's just us and the workers. And after Daddy splits us in half a few times, figure out the moves. First, bait the jump, then you can do a 180 rot breath and get him afflicted. Or not. Do it again. Slam him while he goes for phase 2.5, then crit him into phase 2. Normally, I was trying to find safe openings for the rot in phase 2, but to be honest, I was kind of pissed off at this point, so I just went for the rot again, and actually got it off. That led to another stance break, and by the time he was going for phase 2.5, we were able to beat him all the way down. We're so close to leveling up, so let's get this edge off. Where can we do that? Ghost Skin Duo. We beat the God Skin Duo. How hard could they be one at a time? Oh right, these two can't be hit with status effects, so that sucks. After the first death, I grabbed the runes and left, but found a rune arc and a hero's rune on the way out. Not totally bad. We'll do Vike instead.
Didn't I kill you already?
Since he's in an Ever Jail, when we lose, we can just collect the runes for free. It's very safe. I forgot the Godskin Apostle in Altus isn't the one that gives you a bunch of runes, and didn't want to go to the Divine Tower of Caelid, so instead let's do all of Raya Lucaria. Top to bottom, it only takes 11 minutes. Smaragd is worth more than the Godskin Apostle. That's hilarious. The Red Wolf takes huge damage, pretty funny. Moongrum is an NPC, so good thing I'm over leveled, and Renala gets one cycled in phase 1. Phase 2, also pretty easy. Now we can enter the final fight at level 26. Woo! It's actually 121 overall. Time to defeat God with the power of a strong union. I put a fire effect on our hammer. It's the damage Radagon is weakest to. Technically, he can be rotted, but he resists it so heavily, and the amount it takes to proc has been nerfed, so I gave up, and I don't recommend you try it at home. First attempt, we tied with Radagon, but a tie goes to the Elden Beast because, there's still an Elden Beast. Attempt 2, we make it to God, but God cheats. They send out the Elden Stars, Breath, and the Beams all at the same time, and with only 31 vigor after a rune arc, we died. That's just too much. Next attempt, I managed to get a golden vow off before phase 2, but that doesn't matter. I thought the Elden Beast couldn't end its insta-kill attack inside the insta-kill cloud, but apparently it can. Damn, dude, maybe you should just permanently live in your insta-kill cloud. That's what I would do if I was you. Next attempt, I brought the Flame of Frenzy. It's basically a shotgun of fire, and once we get a stance break, we can shotgun the tummy before a crit. That's pretty sweet. We finally got some good luck, and it went for melee attacks, so now we can claim victory at 11 hours and 7 minutes. 42 bosses dead and 121 deaths. It's not quite F tier, actually still above Poison Ivy and Ed Elric. However, I really don't recommend this challenge. Every boss becomes more stressful after you get to level 16 maybe. You just have to kill so many bosses to actually level up, and the incremental improvement doesn't feel noticeable. It does hurt to put the Socialist run below the Elon run, but I'm pretty sure Socialism isn't actually about making all of your stats even in a video game. And I wouldn't be a socialist if I didn't shift the goalposts to defend socialism. If you want to help me participate in capitalism, join my Patreon so I can keep these videos coming. Follow me on Twitch to watch these runs live, and sub to my other channel if you like TTRPGs and other silly stuff.